what does Kingda Ka's imminent removal mean for the Six Flags chain? Because there's a lot that this coaster removal reveals about the strategy that Six Flags will implement going forward, and it could have lasting effects on the parks within the Six Flags chain for many years to come. We're going to be breaking all of this down, so let's get started. In a rather shocking turn of events to say the least, Kingda Ka went from a coaster you never thought would be removed anytime soon to suddenly a coaster that was going to likely be removed with zero warning from the park. It was a crazy turnaround. We started getting rumors a couple months back, and it kept escalating from there until eventually where we are now, with Kingda Ka all but confirmed to be removed later this year. Let me just say this again, this pretty much came out of nowhere. Yes, this was a problematic roller coaster that cost a lot to maintain and everything, but just how popular this coaster is, it did not seem like it was in danger to close anytime soon, and here we are now. And I think that this removal has shown us three main strategies that Six Flags will now employ. Starting off with strategy number 1. And this is the most obvious of these strategies, and that is that Six Flags will now start to remove coasters with high maintenance and operating costs. But notice how I didn't say unpopular coasters. Yes, I think that the new Six Flags company will start removing coasters that are expensive to maintain and operate, no matter their popularity. Now yes, is something like a Steel Vengeance probably still safe? Yes. That is easily the most popular ride and well-known ride in the park. But if a coaster with high operating costs is not the most popular ride on the park, Six Flags will probably look at that coaster and consider removing it. Now I must say, this is a pretty drastic change from the old Six Flags strategy just a couple years ago, because they would basically hold on to those old coasters even if they weren't very popular for basically as long as possible. And Cedar Fair has pretty much employed this strategy before, removing old unpopular coasters with high operating costs, but we have never seen it with such a well-known and popular coaster like Kingda Ka. So I just think in general this puts a lot more rides in danger of being removed, and I do think we are going to see a lot of ride removals over these next 3 to 5 years, as the new Cedar Fair management goes and tries to clean up these Six Flags parks a little bit, and get them up to their Cedar Fair standards. And I do want to reiterate something real quick. This isn't exactly super unexpected, because when Cedar Fair and Six Flags merged, they did say that their main goal with this company was to basically save as much money as possible. They basically flat out said that something like this would happen. And yes, removing these high maintenance costs, operating cost roller coasters is probably saving them a ton of money. It's just, I don't think anyone expected it to be potentially on the scale of like a Kingda Ka. But basically, moral of the story, if there is a coaster at your home park that is relatively popular but is very expensive to maintain, there is a very good possibility that coaster is not at the park within the next decade. And while it is a little sad, it unfortunately does make sense from a business perspective and is probably something the Six Flags company has to do. Alright, let's take a look at strategy 2. Oh, and by the way, strategy 3 is probably not what you expect, so stay tuned for that, because it's really interesting. But alright, let's take a look at strategy 2. And I must say, I do not really agree with this strategy a lot. And that is that this new Six Flags company is going to try to do everything possible in their power to avoid negative publicity. Hold on, let me explain. So, we never got an official announcement from Great Adventure regarding Green Lantern or Kingda Ka's closure. And I don't know about you, but it does not leave a good taste in my mouth. Closing 2 major rides in 1 year and not telling literally anyone about it? I just really don't like that. I feel like at the bare minimum, there should have been at least a couple weeks of heads up, or some sort of notice that these rides were going to be closing forever after this. I don't know, it doesn't feel right almost. Like traditionally, pretty much every single park has given multiple weeks in advance if a coaster is going to close. Especially a coaster as iconic and beloved as Kingda Ka. Now yes, there are some instances like Top Thrill 2 where they couldn't give any advance. They didn't know it was even going to happen. But it's not like Kingda Ka had a major incident or anything that would cause them to have to close the coaster so abruptly. They definitely knew about this beforehand. Or at least enough to give some kind of heads up. And back to my point about avoiding negative publicity, this is clearly in an attempt to dodge as much negative publicity and almost just people in general being upset about the removal of Kingda Ka. Because I guarantee the second that they announced this coaster was going to get removed, there would have been a ton of backlash and people being frustrated with the park. And I do understand, sometimes tough decisions do have to be made at a business level. It's not always entirely in Great Adventure's control. And I get it's not good to get such backlash and negativity surrounding your park when you just remove a coaster. And I get what they're trying to do here, trying to kind of dodge that initial wave of people being upset. But again, it's just, it doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth. There are going to be a lot of people upset with Great Adventure regardless if this coaster is going to close or not, but I think this could actually end up being worse than just doing an official announcement. Anyways, I really do hope that this does not become a trend going forward, but regardless, I think that Six Flags is going to do its best to stay as controversy-free as possible, which is always a good idea for a company. I just don't think this is necessarily the way to do it. And now, it is time for strategy number 3. And this one I find very interesting, but the more I think about it, the more it starts to look like this is exactly what Six Flags is wanting to do from now on. Alright, strategy number 3 is that Six Flags wants to start taking more risks. Yes, you heard that right. Again, hold on, let me explain this one. So, Great Adventure wants to remove Kingda Ka. Now, you might say that that's a big enough risk as it is, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because now they want to remove 2 major attractions in 1 year. That's almost unheard of in the amusement park industry. Like, I just want you to think for a second. Name the last time a major amusement park removed 2 major coasters in the exact same year. Yeah, it's probably already hard to think of one. And that in itself is a very big risk. Great Adventure is potentially risking a lot of money just so they can remove these 2 coasters in the same year. Especially right around the time when people are starting to buy season passes. But here's the thing, it goes even farther than that. Because not only are we getting rumors of new hotels being added to Great Adventure potentially, we've also gotten some rumors, and it definitely does make sense, I feel like it could happen, that Six Flags wants to add a Giga Coaster. And I've seen all the rumors and everything, and it could extend past the Giga Coaster even adding in almost its own little themed area. And that alone it's definitely a risk too. Like, I can't imagine Cedar Fair alone taking out 2 coasters at once and then trying to replace it with a Giga Coaster pretty much immediately with its own little themed area too. And you know, Cedar Fair's a pretty conservative company, whereas Six Flags is a little bit less of a conservative company. I'm wondering if we're starting to see those 2 kind of mix into their own identity. And that's kind of what is compounding with this whole Kingda Ka situation. You have the Cedar Fair side wanting to save that money, and then you've got the Six Flags side saying like, hey, let's take this risk and make this a whole major investment almost. And that's what we're starting to see. Now, does this mean that Six Flags is now going to start adding Giga Coasters to every park? No. But could we see this new Six Flags company start to take a few more risks? You know, add some prototype attractions with a lot of upside, or make a few high-risk, high-reward investments in the near future? I think even though they're trying to save as much money as possible and all that, eventually you do have to kind of take a risk or two. And I think that Kingda Ka in this whole situation has demonstrated to us that this new Six Flags company is that they're willing to take those risks. They might have been hesitant at first, but I really think the old days of them just kind of sitting back and not doing really anything cool and exciting necessarily, just kind of playing by the book, I think we might just see those days come to an end. And this could lead to a lot of really cool coasters, new themed lands and investments and all of that good stuff. And I must say, I don't think the new Six Flags company handled this whole Kingda Ka thing very well. I think they definitely made some mistakes without really giving us advance and all of that. And you know, they're still removing one of their most popular attractions. But besides all of that, I'm still really excited to where this new Six Flags company could go. I think there's still a lot of potential there. And I would really like to see them take a few risks, make some really good decisions, and get us some cool coasters. But, as always, we're still gonna have to wait and see. And if you do want to stay up to date on all of the latest theme park news, rumors, new coasters, all of that good stuff, then make sure to subscribe down below so you do not miss out on any future content. Especially regarding this whole Kingda Ka thing, because I think we could see a really cool coaster take its place. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, drop a like down below, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.